Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy. I'm Alberto, it's 3 AM here in Italy, and today I will show you an impressive Tom King's mod with many units, 2 new factions, the Khemric Titan, Apophas, and so many crazy things that you will never believe. Thank you for all the support to my channel, and let's begin. Hi, I'm Alberto, I'm a real person, and here you will find the beginner's guide, the battle unit roster, tier list, ranking, and many shorts. So if you wanna support the channel, please consider to subscribe. Let's start with the characters, and with this mod they introduced so many heroes and lords that I cannot mention all of them, so I will just show you a few so you can have an idea of what this mod will look like. Let's start with the new generic lord, that is the Lich High Priest. That is something that probably we will see in the next DLC, the Lords of the End Times, because we really need a spellcaster generic lord to add to our roster, so we can have at least 2 options as a generic lords to recruit for our armies, and it's a nice choice because he can have a special mount that is the Royal Tomb Bark, that is basically this flying war machine with some archers atop, and of course it gives you air mobility, so you can move all around the map without caring of the terrain, the obstacles and so on. Overall, it's a nice addition. You can also mount the Casket of Souls or some other skeleton steed and chariot, so I think that it's a great unit. Now, a unique lord that I really want to show you, even if he's not one of the new factions leaders that have been introduced with this mod, is Sehenesmet, Vizier of Qatar. That is basically not the construct, but a guy that is in the heart of this, giant colossal monster, and he's great because he's a spellcaster and also a powerhouse with a lot of armor, a very big weapon strength, and of course he's a little slow, but yeah, I think it's a great unit with this new ability that is shared by many other heroes and lords that can create kinda a tower, a golden obelisk that will land on the enemies, causing a lot of destruction. So yeah, I think it's a very cool idea. Another unique lord that I want to show you, just to give you, of course, an example of what you can play with this mod, is Queen Rasut, that she's both a spellcaster and a melee specialist with dual swords, so with the anti-infantry bonus if she doesn't get the mount, that is of course the chariot and the war sphinx, and she has access to a selection of spells from the lore of magic of the beast, Nekara and the shadows, and overall she's quite great. And then we get also King Rupesh VII, that in this case is a Tom King dwarf. I don't know if there is any lore linked to it, but it can be quite interesting. And here he's just a melee specialist, so not a spellcaster, that is quite rare in this roster. And he can get, of course, the chariot and the war sphinx, and again some abilities that can cause plenty of destruction all over the battlefield. As a legendary hero, we got finally Prince Apophas, that we don't know if we will ever get him in the game, because it's quite controversial. We're gonna get a DLC that will cover the Tom Kings, but the Lord will be probably Nagash, so I don't expect to see any character linked to the Tom Kings, even because, Nagash, he's gonna have many Mortarks at his service, so they will create already many different legendary heroes. In any case, it's nice to get him here. It's quite weird because it's a very powerful unit that can turn into a swarm of flying scarab, and only in that case he can get these spells from the lore of death. And then yes, there are many weird things. He can even summon, of course, a swarm of scarab And yes, I hope that you know, if Creative Assembly would ever make him into the game, he would be a little different, because in this way it's too much confusing for me. And then we get another legendary hero, that is the Herald Nekaf. That is, I mean, it's probably what we're gonna get as the generic hero for the, I mean, Tom King's part of Nagash, so I expect to see something like that in the future in the official game. In any case, yes, I mean, it's the same, because he's gonna have the Encourage, the Guardian attribute that is very important for this special hero, and I mean, it will be quite a tank, I suppose, with some armor, a great melee defense, but also some support abilities that will boost the army. Let's start with the melee infantry, and the first unit will be the Skeleton Warriors, that, as you know, they are the lowest tier infantry for the Tom Kings, and you probably noticed the visual difference compared to the official game version, because they're gonna get 3 different heroes in the unit composition that will not have an impact on the gameplay, so they will work as generic soldiers. In any case, you're gonna get a 3rd weapon variant for this unit, the Dual Axis, that will not grant the anti-infantry bonus like for all the other units in this game, but they will be a little more offensive. A new interesting unit that they introduced with this mod is the Skeleton Slave Laborers. That is a mid shield, expendable of course, so if they run away this will not affect the rest of the army, and the great feature is that they are 240 entities, so it will be very hard for an artillery piece to target them, for a bombardment spell, or even for a cavalry that is charging them. And I mean, since the formation is very scattered, they will need you know, to go further a lot if they want to reach the other layers of your army. That's why I think that they are really great units. Then we're gonna get the Corsair Legion, that is a dual weapons unit, so with the anti-infantry bonus in this case. I really like the model because they are this kind of Norska pirate, of course undead, and yeah, they are not that special, but I mean, they are more offensive with the Vanguard deployment, so yeah, quite cool. Now let's take the Nekara Warriors, that you already have a version in the official game with dual swords, but this mod will introduce the weapon variant, the sword and the shield, and the halberds, so you can create a full mid-game army only with the Nekara Warriors, and yes, I mean, they are of course a little better than the Skeleton Warriors, not the most elite one, but yeah, now you have multiple versions, so you can create a better, you know, mid-campaign army. And we got also a new weapon variant for the Tomb Guard, the unit with great weapons, that they will have the anti-infantry bonus and the armor piercing damage, but no shield like for the Tomb Guard with halberds. That, I mean, is cool if you need more, you know, extra damage against heavy infantry. Now, a new melee infantry unit that they created for this mod is the Ancient Tomb Mummies, that are basically these elite warriors that are more expensive than the Tomb Guard, and they are fewer in number, but they get a lot of armor and especially a lot of weapon strength with armor piercing damage and anti-infantry bonus. They don't have a good speed and a good charge, so I would still use them as a front line. They have the Encourage ability, so they can boost the leadership of the units nearby, and a good physical resistance, missile resistance, so it's like if they have the shield, if you combine the great armor with this missile resistance, I think they're really great, and then with the magical attack, so yeah, quite versatile, and yeah, I particularly like them. And the most elite, or at least the most expensive melee infantry for this mod is the Tomb Corsairs with the breaching axes, that are basically, for some reason, with the animation of the Count Noctilus from the Vampire Coast faction, and yes, they have the Slayer ability that will grant more more stats if the hit points are less than the 20% than the frenzy, and I mean they're very offensive. They are a good number of 100 with the anti-infantry bonus, even if the weapons can suggest otherwise. And yes, I mean they're not my favorite unit, but I think they're quite cool. Now let's move to the Missile Infantry category, and they created this new unit, the Skeleton Spearmen with javelins, that they have better stats than the archers, so you can still use them in melee a little. And yes, they are like the javelins units in this game, so very few ammunition, short range, but the missile strength has the anti-large bonus, so they can be effective against the cavalry. Then we got the Dragon Man, that is a unit of skeletons with this shotgun, probably is the Iron Hail of the Grand Cathay, and honestly it was not necessary. I don't see any link of the Tom Kings with the gunpowder, and yes, I mean it's a cool unit with a short range but a lot of armor piercing, missile strength, but yeah, I mean I would have avoided. This is nice because we got a upgraded version of the skeleton archers, the Nekara archers, that I mean they have just better stats, they have a better range, that is the most important thing, and then they get some abilities like the missile resistance and the physical resistance. And then we got the Tomb Guard archers, that is the even more elite version, that they're gonna get a better range and the same abilities with some boosted stats in melee. And you know, it's great that they wanted to create the upgraded version of the archers, because even in the late game you are encouraged to recruit some of these archers, but they're quite weak for your you know, late game battles. So I think it was a very nice idea, and I would like to see something like that in the official game as well. Then we got the Royal Archers, that are fewer in number, but they get the poison effect, a better range. In this case they are better than else archers, for example, and it's great because their arrows has both the poison effect and the armor piercing damage, so they are quite annoying for the enemy, and they have also some abilities of encouragement and missile resistance. And the last and the most elite missile infantry unit is the Royal Guard, that I really like it because they are a hybrid unit, so with a good missile strength, but not that much compared to the Royal Guard, so expect a lesser range power, but they are also very good in melee with the shield, a good armor, and they have the anti-large and the armor piercing damage in melee, so you have basically a Lothern Sea Guard but boosted. And yeah, it's perfect. I think that for me this is the late game, the ultimate late game archers for my campaign. The last very specific unit that I wanted to show you for this missile infantry category are the cultists of Asap, that are a flamethrower infantry. They are coming in 3 different versions, and this is quite cool because they have all different spells that they can use. And yeah, basically they are like a flamethrower unit, so they will spit this poison fire that can have a different color depending on the version. They have the regeneration, but I have to say they are very weak in melee, so you should avoid this, I mean, to let them engage in close combat. But yes, the missile attack, even with very few ammunition and a short range, is amazing. Now let's talk about the cavalry, and without going too much into details, I will just tell you that we got a new unit for the skeleton horsemen with the sword and shield, and then a new unit of the Nekara horsemen with the bows, and as you can see, a Tomb Guard horseman version, both with 2 versions, one with the great swords and one with halberds, so you have both the armor piercing anti-infantry version and the one that is more anti-large. I would say that I like this idea because you can have some elite classic cavalry, but I mean, it doesn't change that much the game because I think that, I mean, about Monstrous Cavalry, the Tom Kings were already very powerful. We got also this Nekara Knights that is a specific cavalry unit because they're gonna get magical weapons, and I mean you can know that from the shining lances, and then they will have the ability of the Bretonia cavalry that they can create the lance formation that increase the acceleration, the charge bonus, the speed, but sacrificing a little of melee defense. And then we got also the Royal Chariot Guard that is just the upgraded version of the Skeleton Chariots, but with better stats, the armor piercing damage, the strong vigor, sorry, and then the devastating flanker. And honestly, I love so much this golden color, that's why I really wanted to show it to you. As for the artillery and the war machines, I wanna first introduce you to the bone throwers that are basically the bolt throwers that we get with many different factions, but they are closer to the high elves and dark elves bolt throwers because they're gonna get two different kinds of ammunition. Again, the one that is most suitable for large entities, or I mean single entities overall, or the version that is for, you know, bunches of infantry. It's not a spectacular unit, but I have to say that they do their job. And then we got the Tomb Bark that is the same mount that we addressed previously, and yes, I mean it's not that different. There are these archers atop that they will shoot their arrows, but yeah, it's more a support unit with some magical abilities, one that will cause damage to all the enemies within the range, and then of course avoid to, you know, engage in melee because it will go down very quickly. Now I want to show you some of the monsters and beasts that they put in this mod, and I can tell you that in the full roster there are plenty more, but I mean, I didn't have time to show you all of them because there are too many. In any case, let's start with the Tomb Swarm. That is something that we're gonna probably see also in the next DLC, the Lords of the End Times, because I mean, they already announced the Khemric Titan, so I guess they will come too. And this, you know, just a mid-shield unit with the Sulk, with many entities, so you can use them to absorb the charge of the cavalry or to protect even your front line. I think they are great and of course very cheap. We got also the flying version, the Usirian Kepra Swarm, that they will work in the same way, and you can use them to annoy, they're not that bad in melee, so you can use them to annoy even the melee infantry, but you have to be extremely careful because their armor is very low. But they also get the hunger, so they will replenish their hit points when they are engaged in combat. They get the Sulk, and this Sulk is probably the greatest attribute because when you want to, for example, debilitate an artillery piece, you can really, you know, bypass the entire enemy army and reach more easily the artillery piece without, I mean, getting a spot before from their missile infantry and so on. So yeah, don't underestimate this unit. Then we have some cats that are the Bastethi, that are basically the wolf, the hounds of the official game, the same model, but in this case they are more cats, and we can say, and they have very little armor, so you have to be very careful about them, but you can send them to, you know, address some artillery pieces, some missile infantry. They are very fast, and they have some abilities. One, for example, that when they go down, they will create a unit of spawns, so you will have an additional unit that will at least distract the enemy. That is great, I have to say. And then, like for example, an augment of your magic and other stuff like that. So yes, it's not only a mere unit, but there are so many abilities that you can use them in multiple ways. And then we have the Greater Bastethi, that is basically the Snow Leopard, and that's why it's just useless, I have to say. But yes, you get the Stalk, the Devastating Flanker, some physical resistance, I mean very little, and a couple of abilities, so it's not that bad. But yeah, you can just use it to hunt some characters, I mean only mages, because they are the only weak enough to lose the fight against this big cat. But I have to say that the model is very cool, so I mean, my compliments to the modders that they really made an amazing work with this mod, so yeah. Now let's talk about the Monstrous Infantry, and as I told you before, there are many different new units that I cannot show you, all of them in this video, so we're gonna focus only on the Ushabti Ancients, that are basically the version with the great weapons that I have a feeling we're gonna see them anyway in the next DLC, because they are cheap to make, and I mean people asked for them, so it's legit that we're gonna get them. And yes, they will have the perfect vigor, the monstrous charge, that is the one of the ogre, and yes, and the sundered armor, so they will reduce the armor of the enemies. That I don't know why, because I mean they have already a lot of armor piercing damage compared to the basic version, so quite unnecessary. But I mean, as a support unit, it can be great. And then another unit that I really wanted to show you are this, I cannot pronounce it. In any case, is the Serpent Guard, that is a new unit that is taking the model of the Sepulchral Stalkers, but they're gonna get the animation of the Kedai Fireborn from the Chaos Dwarfs. The Serpent Guard, there is also as just the Sepulchral Stalkers with the different stats, but I mean this version was funny because I like them, I just like them. They have the animation, the anti-infantry devastating animation of the Kedai Fireborn, but I mean they are these snake constructs, so yeah, quite crazy. Now let's talk about the Monstrous Cavalry, and even if they were not monstrous by definition, I thought that they fit better this category, because I wanna talk to you about the Colchian Riders that are coming in two versions, the light one and the heavy ones, and I have to say that I love them. They are, I mean, they're just wonderful. They are at the same price, but with the different abilities we can say, like for example the heavy one has the frenzy, and the other one has I mean I don't remember what, but yeah, they have the poison contact effect, the anti-large bonus, they have the shield, and yeah, they are quite funny to watch. I don't know if we are gonna get them for the Lizardman roster in a further DLC. We still don't know what to expect about the future of this trilogy, but yeah, I'm very happy about this addition, and they are so fun to use, so yeah, you should definitely give a try. And I don't know which model, which animation they took, but it definitely worked. Another special unit that I wanted to show you is the Osirian Khepra Riders, that are basically riders on scarab, on giant flying scarabs, and sorry for my phone, and they are good because they are both archers, so you can use them as a support missile unit, and also they are great in melee with a good damage, weapon strength, armor piercing, the poison effect, the magical attacks, and yes, I think they are quite cool. And then they have the stalk, so they can move hidden all around the map, and yes, these are some kinds of ideas that I really appreciated, and I have to say these modders are very good, are very good. And then I wanted to show you this other special unit. It's a regiment or renown, and it's the Carrion Riders, that I think that the big carrion, the big vultures, are a very great idea. Even Creative Assembly used it already, because you can fight against this huge beast in the Monstrous Arcanum book for Norska, and there is a regiment or renowned version of the official game that gets these bigger at least vultures. And yeah, this idea is amazing. There are only 3 entities, but they cause plenty of damage, and yeah, I really like them, and yeah, they are quite cool to use them, and of course they are very strong with the regeneration, with hunger that will replenish the hit points. They can boost your magic, they have a magical spell that they can use, so yeah, very awesome. Now let's talk about the monsters that we got with this DLC, and let's start with the Necrolith Colossus, that is basically the melee version of the Bone Giant, and also kinda the same animations, but yeah, it's great in case you need a more tanky and even damage dealing option, because it got plenty of melee attack, a very good weapon strength, is specialized, at least in theory, against large units, but of course it's very slow, so I don't know how you can deal with that, but a great armor, some physical resistance, missile resistance, he can destroy walls, and I have to say that the model itself, it's nice. And then we got also a new weapon variant for the hero Titan, the one with the Colossus bow, that yeah, I don't understand this choice, because we got already, I mean, we already have the Bone Giant with the great bow and the Hero Titan that is a melee unit, so they just, you know, switch them. And yeah, in any case, he keeps the spells, so you can use the Spirit Leech and the Shen Burning Gaze, so it's cool because you have also this range attack that is very powerful, and I mean, the idea is not that bad overall. And then we're gonna get the Skeleton War Elephant that I have to admit, this is one of the best good looking units in the entire modded community, and I just love it. It's a skeleton elephant with the archers atop, and the animations of course are the ones of the mammoth from Norska, and I mean, I'm not sure, I'm not an expert, so I don't know how the skeleton of an elephant is made, but I have to say that it's a really great job. I mean, they worked very hard, all the details, you can really see all the different bones of this giant elephant, so I really appreciated all the effort that they put into this unit, and it's just perfect. And then we're gonna get the Khemric Titan, that is the only unit that has been already announced by Creative Assembly for the next DLC, the Lords of the End Times, so I'm happy about that, because the animations of this colossal beast are the same of the Scorpion, that I mean, is a great work, of course, but you know, you can feel that this kind of movements are not the one that a giant scarab would make. That's why, yeah. In any case, it has a lot of support abilities that can increase the power charge of your winds of magic. It can reduce the leadership of the enemies nearby, and a regeneration ability. Then when it loses the health, he will create this, I mean, he will spawn a unit of Tomb Swarm, and then it has a couple of spells that are the same of the Hero Titan, so I have to say that overall is a great unit. And now the last unit of this video, and the most expensive unit of this roster, because it cost 9,500, and just I want to remind you that the Thunderbird is around 3,000, so 3 times Thunderbird, 3 times the most expensive unit in this game, and you can see why. This is a colossal scorpion, this is very big. I mean, it's they enhanced the size of the model, and that's why it's very destructive, with not that much weapon strength, but the splash damage, as you can see, is very wide, so he will hit many units at the same time. A good armor, and then many abilities, some spells, I mean the same abilities of the Khemric Titan, I have to say, so some spells, then a boost of the Winds of Magic, a regeneration, the swarm that can be spawned when the unit loses some health, and yeah, again the poison effect, a range attack that I'm not sure how powerful it is, and the range is quite short, but again with a lot of ammunition. And I have to say that the model itself is quite crazy, because it's like a monument, a historical monument from Egypt that is alive and he's charging your infantry. I cannot imagine the view, but yes, thank you for following me. Tell me if you want to see any other mod in this channel, and let's see very soon.